Deja vu. Welcome to this live stream event from Falling Frog Studios. It's my pleasure to introduce Helen Daniels. All right, we can do the interview sitting down here. We're here with Tommy Bartholomew. Did I say that correctly?
Berryman.
Berryman. Not
So
even
pretty,
close.
there's lots of
I'm
letters.
so sorry. Of Helen Daniels. Thank you for that amazing music. We're going to get back to some more in just a minute, but I wanted to ask you a couple of questions and just get to know you a little bit.
Great.
Thank you for joining us on the live stream from Falling Frog today. First, I'd just like to ask you about the musical name Helen Daniels. Does it have some special significance?
Yeah. So there's a lot of yes, and I don't want to give away the sauce, but initially I had been finding out about Australian soap operas, and there's a Australian soap opera with a character named Helen Daniels. And then that just cracked me up. That's my sense of humor. I was like, that's friggin' hilarious.
Are you a fan of Neighbors?
That's the name of the show. Yeah.
Amazing show.
Yeah,
My wife and I were devoted to it.
Yeah, it's great. It's totally great. They know how to do it different down under. So that's where that's where the name came from. And then it just cracks me up for some reason. And then there's some other stuff at play, but
Great, love it, and also making a connection on the Neighbors thing. It just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
So I think we had some cameras on some of your instruments here. Nessa, can you grab a shot of the one with all the banana plugs over there? When you first walked in, I was like, not a bomb, right? Definitely not a bomb. Because Tommy's a musician. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, so it's a design by a person named Peter Blasser, who has a company called Seattle Lombard. They used to be out of California, more recently in Germany. And he designed these things called paper circuits, where he would release them online, and you would print out the picture of the circuit board on a piece of paper, fold it over a piece of a cereal box, and then poke the components through and solder them together. And this is essentially what that is. And it's a module called the Forzes, and it's a quadraphonic. It's 4 synthesizers that play each other, but their outputs are independent of each other. And then I feed them all into my mixer to create a stereo field. So adjusting one of them drastically changes the output of all 4 of them.
Very cool. And I'm always curious about every musician's musical journey. So I'm guessing that you were not sitting around a campfire seeing someone do exactly this and thinking that's definitely the way to get romantic attention. What did set you on the path to your musical journey that brought you to this point? How did you get involved in this way of making music?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I heard that band Rammstein, and I was like, this is great, and then I didn't think much of it. And then when I became a teenager, I got into really just didn't feel at home anywhere, culturally. So I got into the weirdest thing I could find, which was metal and hardcore, and I always wanted to, when you hear Slayer and it's the Kerry King does the guitar solo, I just wanted a whole album of that, and then when I was out of high school, still kind of cosplaying as a punk guy, there was this band called Man is the Bastard, and they were super left-wing, super eco-conscious, super just really, really cool politics, and they had these weird synthesizers. And actually, if you look right here, these are two synths built by a member of that band. And they were a hardcore punk band, and I was just kind of like, they had these interludes with noise, and I was just kind of like, that's what I want. I wish this was a whole band. And it turns out they had a side project that was just this stuff, and then that turned me on to, Mertzbo, Skinny Puppy, the Haters, just all these experimental noise, industrial, throbbing gristle, nurse with wound, you name it. If it's weird electronic music, I eat it up. And so I started getting into electronic music, and ever since then I've had just kind of the bug for it. It's all I care about.
Very cool. Well, we want to get you back to streaming some more music, but before I let you do that, what's coming up for you? Live performances or releases that folks who are watching the stream can tune into?
So down the pipe, I would like to get a hot tub and fill it with like bubble bath stuff, which is totally going to wreck the hot tub, but I would like a nice Italian dinner, and I have this really nice 22-inch gong, and I want to sit in the hot tub and eat my favorite dish, which is penne and bolognese, and watch cartoons and just play the gong for a day, and that would be just really, that would like scratch like every kind of like ASMR I have.
Oh, it's the second ASMR mention on the Falling Frog live stream. I love it. We will be watching for that. Thank you. I want to get back to some music. Before I do, I just want the amazing Nessa Carter, the mastermind and technician behind this, to turn the camera on herself. That's Nessa. I'm Johnny One Note. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's have some more music.
I feel like, and Johnny, might I say, you have beautiful eyes. This is a very intimate setting. I think one note is more notes than what I'm doing here. So you got me beat.
Best night ever. Thank you, Helen Daniels. Thank you for tuning in to this live stream event from Falling Frog Studios. Please hit the like,